Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to another exciting episode of Psychology Talks. And I'm your host, Amreen Nadeem. And today we're going to discuss the positivity in leadership. We must have heard, you must have heard a lot of time, like be positive in all the circumstance and everything. But what is its role in leadership? In leadership, it is more than just a cheerful attitude. It is a strategic mindset that drives better decision making, a stronger relationship, higher team performance. The same, which goes in your personal life as well. But when you are in a leadership role, you need to practice positivity more intentionally, and you have to be mindful of your attitude as well. And that's why I have invited our guest, who is the founder of Plenty of Positivity. And she is a former elite level gymnast, NCAA All-American, educator, founder of Plenty of Positivity, and the co-founder of Energized Thinking. And she will share how optimism, resilience, and connection can transform the way leaders rise and lead. So let's welcome one of my great friend as well, Courtney Beck. Hello, Courtney. How are
Hi,
you? And thank you
Marie.
for joining.
I am absolutely honored to be here, Ambreen. Thank you so much for having me on your platform.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you also here. And because I was looking forward to this particular episode because we connected only a few months ago, but I mean the kind of chemistry and the kind of connection we share is amazing. So I know that we are so much aligned on at several levels. So I was so excited to actually talk to you and to have the conversation so our audience can also benefit from that. So, anyways, I gave a very, very short introduction. Just tell us a bit about your journey, that how of from where you started and what struggles you faced.
Absolutely. Well, Ambreen, once again, thank you so much for having me on your platform. I want to say a couple of things before I get into my introduction, but what you are doing out here with your platform, you provide people so much value, education, inspiration out here. And that's what drew me to you. I remember just following you. I mean, I follow you now, we work
Mhm.
together, but you are an inspiration to so many people today. And so I just
Okay.
want to congratulate you also on this podcast. What you do, keep doing it. You're making a positive impact. So thank you so much for having me. And also, so I am from the United States, and I would just like to take a moment today. It is a historical day in America. So it is marks the 24 years since 9/11. So really want to honor and remember those lives that we have lost today. But on a positive note, my name is Courtney Beck. I am an adjunct professor at Florida State University, so the Sunshine State. And I'm a founder of Plenty of Positivity, just as Ambreen had said, and a co-founder of Energized Thinking. And
Yes.
Ambreen is
Mhm.
the other co-host.
Yeah, I'm so glad, yes, that we took this initiative and we're doing is like this energized thinking together, and it's such a great initiative. Thank you so much for being with me on taking this initiative and having this Valerie alongside with us.
I
So
was
yeah.
just I was just gonna say I certainly want to finish. So as far as
Mhm.
Valerie, I mean, all three of us have come together, really sharing in on a passion for education, critical thinking, creativity, and really promoting innovative progress. But as far as my story goes, I will say from the very foundation, sport played such a profound impact on my life. There's no doubt about it. The sport of gymnastics, my coaches, my teammates, if you will, they were my second family, essentially. I was an only child. My father raised me as a single parent. Unfortunately, my mother passed away when I was very young. And so it forced me to grow up quickly. So that's where the resilience comes in. I learned about being resilient from the very, very beginning. I looked to gymnastics as that solid foundation structure. School and gymnastics, it kept me busy, it kept me focused, and I will be forever grateful for that. My teammates were literally my like sisters I never had. So it was so much fun growing up. And, you mentioned I was an elite level gymnast. I went on to compete for the University of Florida. So incredibly grateful for my time there. And then it was the academic journey again. So I got into academia, and then I decided to start Plenty of Positivity. And of course, alongside yourself and Valerie, but Energized Thinking. And I'm sure we'll jump into that today.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And it's truly inspiring that, how you took your journey from of course, you said that you had to grow up fast because there was no one to guide you. I mean, there was and you took I would just say that whatever you had gone through, you took everything positive and you treated all those classmates as your family, which is really it's all about looking at the things positively. You could have anybody, if you were just going through these kind of processes, they might say, oh, what can I do? I feel lonely. But that's one thing that I really liked about you, that you took this as positive. So thank you for sharing that. um, you said you're a founder of plenty of positivity. So what drew you to actually, what drive you to create that platform? And you tell us a bit more about it.
No, absolutely. So there I was, December of 2023. I finished my PhD. I graduate, and that was particularly in sport management. And I had time to kind of open up my lens now. So I was super focused on sport. I open up my lens. What is actually happening out there? Different disciplines, different fields. What was it like when I was out in society? I like to observe things a lot, how I feel in society, what is going on. And it was different factors that were starting to add up. I felt bothered of some concerns that I had as to certain directions that we were headed. And I decided to take action. So for example, when I talk about factors, to be more specific, I opened up the lens and I saw, wow, the former U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, had declared, this was back in 2023, he had declared an epidemic on isolation and loneliness. And then I started thinking about, wow, we are so connected on social platforms, but yet there's this sense of disconnection just in society, like the way that we interact, our communication. How many modes of communication do we have today? And so many things have changed. And I just felt that I really did. I wanted to focus on pulling people back together. And my why. Why did I start Plenty of Positivity? It is to serve others, to recognize others, to have others be heard. And then in addition, I love these next generations coming up. I'm a millennial. We have Gen Z, we have Gen Alpha. How can we make this even better world that we're living in? So that's what Planet Positivity is about. It's dedicated to building a positive community for a better tomorrow. So it was a bunch of factors, but then I pulled it together, Ambreen.
Wow, that's such a wonderful mission, and and you're doing such a great work in this. You are gathering all those people from across the globe and creating that community very well. So I'm sure that you are on the right track and you're doing all the good things. So, anyways, you actually talk about lots of especially positivity, right? So. Just tell us a bit that what actually inspired you, or what makes you so positive. I know, especially people go through difficult circumstances, challenges, and the natural reaction is they become bitter. Instead of becoming a better person, they become bitter. Whereas when I see you, it's you talk about a lot of positivity. So what kept you positive and what prevented you from being bitter or from being negative?
No, absolutely. So, when everything happened in my childhood, the one thing I would certainly like to bring attention to is yes, it was not all sunshine. There's no doubt about it. On the flip side of the coin, I was so incredibly grateful to have and still have my father in my life. I owe everything to him, literally, to be here today. And he was that solid rock. He was that support system, always there, always interested in what was going on in my life. And I think that is when I looked at life in a way that we are all dealt, a certain cards in life. It is how we are able to play those cards. And to me, I wanted to make something of my life. I had endured a lot of it was sadness. There was no doubt about it. It was sadness. But I wanted to make that positive choice to make something of my life. And with that support system, all the sacrifice that my father made, I mean, literally changing careers to be able to pick me up, to take me to gymnastics. I mean, that is what motivated me to make that positive choice and to make something out of my life. I learned that, I had to grow up quick. There's no doubt about it. There was resilience that I learned, but these are all the lessons from my childhood. Even though, yes, I had to grow up a little bit earlier than others, I'm able now to apply to my professional career. Resilience, entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship. It's not always, going to be ups and stuff. You have to be able to roll with the punches. You have to be able to make mistakes and to pick yourself back up again. And so that's when I really did. I learned about positivity at a young age, even in sport. My gosh, 4 to 5, hours a day, 5 days a week, sometimes even 6 hours, sometimes if it was a bad day.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I mean, you have a choice to make that day into something positive, even if you start off on a negative note. And I wanted to make the most. I feel like every day is truly a gift that we are given to make the most out of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love that positivity from you that, it's like, you're so right that every day we have a choice, right? That how we respond to all those circumstances. Sometimes, we face the same challenges and we get depressed and sad, and that's fine. I think everybody, this is the natural reaction from any human being, that when they actually face any difficult circumstances, challenges, that they feel sad or they feel aggression, they feel anxious, frustrated. But what is important what is important in that moment is that how we respond to that situation. That makes all the difference. If, for example, if we are faced with any difficult circumstances and we choose to remain calm and stay positive in the situation, I think then it creates all the difference, not only in that moment, but it also affects the later life also. Like, because, they always, there's a wise saying that, you don't have to, I don't remember the exact wording, but it says that, you should never react when you're in anger. And I would just say that it's not only in anger, it's in any hyped up emotion, because if you are in those hyped up emotions, your capability to think clearly, logically, or rationally actually goes down. So you want to say something?
No, absolutely. I mean, as far as even, making the choice, I think about, I never wanted to be the victim of that circumstance. I wanted to make something of my life. And truthfully, that's why with Plenty of Positivity with the podcast, it's about not just all the fluff of positivity, but it truthfully is allowing others to come on and share their story. And when you share your story, you never know who you could be inspiring on the other side. And so I think that's the real important part of all of this, is that even though we endure challenging times, that's something we could all relate to, right? Like, life isn't a bunch of, peaches and cream, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what we could relate to. So I just wanted to add that, but no, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you. I think my voice is clear. I think it's saying, Geeta is saying that your voice is not clear, but I think I changed. I don't know. I think either I need to change my mic or something because it's like I'm hearing a lot from this, or maybe I need to fix something. I need to find out because I'm not a tech genius. So, anyways, I'll see. I'll try to fix that after that. So, anyways, like you brought a very good point here that you talk about positivity, real positivity, which is not a fluff. And actually, when I look at things around, and when I look at even and when I talk to people, also they often say that they actually confuse positivity with something like being always nice or being positive. So would you like to like share something that what is the real positivity? And it's not, because I know, as you said, that it's life is not always like about like it's like life is not always easy, right? So we could you could you share more about it? It's like what is the real positivity?
No, absolutely. So, I mean, I just think about even just my lived experience. I could remember distinct points in my life, different chapters, like, turning the chapter to something new. And I would always be so anxious. I felt like I had to know everything before it actually happened. And in those moments, to be able to kind of resolve that anxiety, I would think to myself, okay, let's be honest. Is negativity and, kind of a frustration, like, why do I not have direction in this very moment to know exactly where I'm going? Or could I look at the positive side and think, everything else in my life has slowly rolled out the way that it is supposed to roll out. I truly believe that things happen for a reason. There's a certain timing for everything. But in those moments, for example, I was transitioning out of my MBA program, trying to figure out, okay, I wanted at the time, like, to really work in sport. What was that going to look like? Well, I could sit here and I could complain all day long of not having any type of direction. I was just about to graduate, or I could do something about it. And so I did. I went to a sport management conference and I spoke to a professor. It was a 10-minute conversation, Ambreen, 10 minutes. That's all it took. And it was just planting a seed. Hey, have you ever thought of a PhD? And in that moment, that provided me direction. If I apply for this and I get in, it's meant to be. If I apply and I don't get in, it's not meant to be. So it really is, I mean, just demonstrating to you being positive, taking action, keeping those wheels moving forward. I think that's really how I would always be able to reflect back and understand the power of positivity in my own life. The same could go for my comeback in gymnastics. All the way at the elite level, I stopped because of injury. I returned 3 years later trying to make this comeback. Well, lo and behold, I had to then actually get surgery to be able to make the comeback. I enter a university, D1 University, as a walk-on. And I'm thinking to myself, I was so incredibly grateful to do that. But let's be honest, you go from international elite all the way down to the bottom. I have to climb my way back up that mountaintop. And so, finding purpose in life is huge. Being able to wake up in the morning and be excited about the day. I think that also contributes to that positivity.
Yeah, I mean, you actually shared so much wisdom of nuggets here that I need to actually reiterate that, you just said that um, it's not easy, and then accepting the fact that it's not easy and being positive in that moment makes you real positive. It's not about like you just said that's like it's not about denying that there are no negativity, there are no challenges. It's just accepting the challenge, and you said yes, you can do it. And I love the fact that you mentioned here is that it was like you everything happens for a reason. And when you went to the university and then you apply and then like your professor said that why don't you have you ever thought of PhD? It was like it was meant to happen, right? But in that moment, again, you had a choice whether you take that role, whether you go to the path of the purpose that universe has chosen for you, or you stay on that lane, and you just say that no, I think I need to wait, or maybe you need to work upon that. And then if you stay on that lane, where let's say if you would have said that no, I don't want to go for the PhD, then maybe universe will send you more of those indications. But it depends. I think in that moment, if we are positive and if we are willing to accept what universe is saying, then it leads us to the open door, to the door that, or which will lead you to your purpose and which will lead you to your destination. So I really love that the way you actually explained it. Yes.
No, thank you so much, Ambreen. And I think these are the lessons that as I moved forward, even after the PhD, once again, one chapter was closing. And what did I at least desire for it to look like? Not that I, have the cards of the future, of course, but I think it was, and then I always was able to resort back to that you have to keep your wheels moving. When you start something, it's not going to be perfect, but put yourself out there, be willing to make mistakes, because that's how progression happens. And that leads me to the very point of starting Plenty of Positivity, going in a completely unconventional route, coming out of a PhD, essentially. I mean, I do teach, as I had mentioned, but then also being able to walk in faith. And then also when you feel deeply compelled to go in a certain direction, to go in that direction. It may not make sense to other people, but to follow that, because you never know who you're going to meet along the way and what lessons you're going to learn along the way as well.
Yes, it's all about accepting. And actually, I often say that, sometimes you put all your efforts and you go on the path and surrender. Oops.
Yes.
Sorry. So, and just surrender, and then you just see that how the universe unfolds all the signs and everything. There's a very good comment by Geeta that I notice a lot of people assume mindset alone can carry outcome, but in the real world, effort, strategy, and risk management play huge roles alongside optimism. Yes, I completely agree. What are your thoughts, Courtney?
Yeah. So a lot of people assume mindset alone can carry outcomes, but in the real world, effort, strategy, and risk management play a huge role alongside optimism. Yeah. I mean, even if I could just elaborate on positivity and optimism too, like in the workplace, the ability for a leader to have that positive mindset and to exude that positivity allows for more creativity to thrive. You open those positive emotions. That's even backed by research. Dr. Barbara Fredrickson focused on positive emotions and what that could actually exude, the joy, the contentment. What could that actually produce? Well, the creativity, the collaboration, the ability for an individual to be excited to maybe start new or to think of new ideas, to meet new people, as well as the social connection amongst one another, being able to collaborate effectively and to spark that creativity, broadening your mindset. It was the broaden and build theory for positive emotions as to what she was speaking about in her research. But the optimism comes in a huge, play, like you said. I mean, risk management, challenges that arise, being able to emotionally regulate and to be mindful of how your emotions are coming across to your team, because your team will, of course, feed on that as well, positive or negative for that matter. So I appreciate that insight. I hope I was able to answer that, correctly. I just caught the glimpse at the end.
No, I think you explained it very well. And I just would like to add to Geeta's point that, yes, the strategy and effort and risk management all play a huge role. Definitely it plays a role. But then this strategy needs to be made very well thought of. It's not something that you are, as you mentioned, that it's positivity is not about denying all the negative circumstances or denying all what is the reality is like keeping all those options open. Yes, and you accepting that yes, it will be a challenging, it will be hard, it will be difficult, and yet staying positive that yes, you can do it. You can deliver the result even in those difficult challenges, in difficult times. So I think, and then I think as a leader, when, as like Courtney said, that, when the leader exudes that positivity, it impacts the entire team. Like if you just compare a leader, when someone is more, I would just say, more pessimist, or just say that, oh, I think it's not going to happen, it will have impact on the team, and the morale of the team as well, because if you keep on looking at the negative side, and you're just focusing that, okay, it's not going to happen, so it's like, it's whatever we say, whatever like we believe, it's kind of like send a signal to the universe. So, and it's going to attract. So if you keep on just telling those things that, it's not going to happen, it's not going to work out, then that means that you are actually attracting negativity, but you're accepting, okay, there are challenges, it is very difficult, but you said, no, we can do it. That increased that, the morale of the team as well. So I just agree with what Courtney said.
Well, and I would like to add too, I mean, 100%, it is not all going to be positivity. I mean, I got a dose of that pretty quickly in sport when curveballs are thrown at you, as far as injuries go, or I could even give you examples in sales in the corporate arena. I was never a manager, but being managed by this particular individual, there was two that were fantastic, but I'll just give you an example. But, being able to produce under pressure, there's no doubt it's not all going to be positivity. There's times when you have to, for example, in sales, looking at numbers and being able to be positive enough to go back out there, even when you did not make certain numbers and so forth. But there's so much relation between that sport analogy and into the corporate world that yes, it's not all fluff, positive fluff. There's no doubt about it. There is hard times, but that resilience kicks in, and how do you react is really that character building. That's really who you are, is in those difficult times. How do you come out of that challenging situation?
Yeah, absolutely. It leads me to another question that, what do you think that how any leader, or even you can say any person also, that how they can stay positive in all those challenging times? Because, it's especially in the chaos, when there are lots of things not going the way as we want, it's easy to lose that positivity, because, when everything is going smooth, it's really good to it's easy to stay positive. But when things are not going as we desire, it's a human nature that we tend to lose that optimism, that positivity. So what do you think, what are the practical ways that one can actually maintain their positivity?
Yeah, absolutely. So, just for example, I'll tell you some daily practices that I even use, and then we'll certainly get into more leadership. But, a gratitude journal, being able to put pen to paper and reflect upon all the good in your life. I'll be honest with you. I mean, that was another factor with plenty of positivity. I kept getting on the internet. There was so much negativity, and I'm not naive to algorithms, that's for sure. But it was being able to then kind of look within, being able to write down certain things that I was grateful for. We talk about social media, and there's pros and cons to everything. But when we talk about the negative side, there's social comparison and everything. Wow. Okay, let's take a step back. Let's reflect on everything we do have that's great in our life. We have a roof over our head, whatever it is. But being mindful and grateful for the small things, they add up. Being able to start your day with exercise, that could always uplift you. Endorphins make you happy, right? But being able to start your day off, to be able not to wake up to, gosh, yesterday was just so bad. How am I going to get going today? And then, with leadership, you have employees under you, you have team members under you, that, the way that you show up really does affect your team. And so emotional regulation, we'll be talking probably about emotional intelligence in this conversation, but how you are able to emotionally regulate and accept the fact that not every day is going to be positive, but how do you react to it? And when your team could see that you're transparent, that you're authentic, that maybe you made a mistake, but you admitted to it, then they start gaining that trust. And that's when you start seeing positive results.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I love that two things I would just say highlight here, especially the gratitude journal. I think it's people underestimate the power of gratitude, being in the moment and accepting that, you have lots of blessings around you. It elevates your mood immediately. And it's like, I often tell to my clients and to the people around me that, even if you're just sad or depressed, just write down three, like, three things that you're grateful for, and it immediately shifts your mood. It may, even if it's not immediately, it actually sets a tone that, you're trying to get better from that. And then you also mentioned the movement. It's so important, like mind and body are linked together. They're not separate. So what is important is that movement is very important. If you keep sitting, like, if you're just keep sitting the entire day on the couch, it will make you feel exhausted. Like, it will have impact on your mood as well. Whereas if you go to gym, like in the morning, or you do some exercise, or even a walk, simple,
Yes.
it will refreshen your mind. So I think these are the very small things which people miss out, that that they can do it like daily, or even like several times in a day, that can uplift their mood. So that's really great that you mentioned here. And I also want to ask that, especially when people are actually like, I would just say that people, especially leaders at this time, and lots of people are like, they have so much work. They cannot, they don't have time, right, to do this. How can they balance this? Sometimes they want to do lots of things. They have that, but they don't have time. They say, how can they manage these things to have this under high pressure situations to stay positive, I would just say.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that it's I like the term, if you will, like work-life harmony, if you will, not so much balance. It's difficult, I think, because it's where you prioritize things. I think that's really what it comes down to. To your point, Ambreen, everyone, I don't have enough time, or I'm so busy, and you hear all this all the time. Yes, we are all given the same amount of time in a day, but it really is about prioritizing. It's about blocking off your schedule, being organized, being able to fit in, say, a workout, but then also being able to maybe grind for however long of, business. If you're an entrepreneur, it's not going to be a 9 to 5, but you accept that going into that. You accept that because that's the choice that you made. And then also too, you're right. You have to take a step away, from whatever it is, the computer, your job in general, whatever that may be, and to be able to spend time with family, to get your mind away from it. Because it's just like, I think about this sometimes, Ambreen, when I'm able to spend time with my family, my mind refreshes. I spend time around people who lift me up. Well, it naturally boosts my energy. So the next day I'm excited to get back to work, right?
Yeah.
So it really does. I think it's about being mindful of what is the priority. What do I absolutely have to finish today? Blocking off your schedule and just being mindful where you're allocating your time, that you're not on social media for however long, hours upon hours, where, wow, you actually do have time if you blocked it off. So.
Yes, absolutely. I agree that, we all have 24 hours, but we can see that some people are so productive and the others are just wasting time. It all ends up at that, the way you manage time, the way you prioritize, because if you do everything all the time, it will keep you busy, but it will not keep you productive. So it's so important to actually prioritize that where you want to focus and where you want to give your time, because I think the most precious asset we have is time. If we don't value time, we're gonna waste not only days, we're gonna waste our life because days pass by so quickly that we even will look back, oh my god, it's like days convert to weeks, then weeks to month, and then years pass by.
Well, it's so true. And I feel like, to your point, you have to make sure that your cup is filled up before you could really provide this high energy, if you will, or this positivity to others. And so
Yeah.
there's times when I really am. I most of the time I'm high energy. I want to be doing things at all times. But when my body tells me, Courtney, I need rest, and I end up, so-called sleeping in until maybe 7 a.m. or something on a weekend, my body's telling me, be mindful of what your body tells you. If you normally go out for exercise and you can't do your full time, your body's telling you, hey, time out, I need some rest. Pay attention to it so you could get back to it even that much quicker, instead of an injury or, even more tiredness. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you brought it up, that, it is so important to actually do the self-care, because if you are not well, like emotionally, physically, or mentally, then you're not able to actually spread the positivity. You won't be able to in a good shape. So first of all, take care of yourself, and then do anything else, and that's how you stay positive. I know we can talk a lot on this topic because it's so close to my heart, and and the second thing is, like, we can talk for hours.
I love
So
it, Amber.
yeah, so but the thing is, the time is limited.
Yeah.
So before I actually close the show, I would just ask that, what one piece of advice would you like to give to our audience today to stay positive?
Yes. So I would say for leaders today, I'll start with that, and then I'll do like a little bit more general, if you will, as far as advice. But I think for leaders, really drawing back to humanity, people over power. When we look at business, there's no doubt about it. You have to make a profit to keep the lights on, right? To pay the employees, but really getting back to that human connection, spending time getting to know somebody, being empathetic, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, I think is so critical this day and age, with technology coming full force at us. It seems like every day it's coming quicker and quicker. But I really do. I think it's getting back to people. I think that's so incredibly important. Being able to also, by getting to know somebody, you're building trust. And I've been on this topic of trust recently, especially with social media, but building that trust, that bond, whether it's professional relationships, personal relationships, trust, I think, is key today. But pulling people back together, that's another thing I wanted to mention. I'm doing my small fraction, if you will, of trying to help pull people back together. Not even just within the United States, but even worldwide. I feel like, there's polarization so much, that if we really think about what type of world do we want to leave behind for these younger generations, that's what motivates me every morning when I get up. And so I would just have to say that, like, when you are decision making, think about that. What these decisions, how are they going to potentially affect, those long-term implications? What could be affecting these next generations? Being mindful of that, but being able to pull people together. And I would just say, in general, for people, as far as, linking it to positivity, is, showing up today and being present with people. Connection. I talk about communication, connection, and community. Yes, there's going to be robotics coming into play that's already there. AIs come in full force, but there's nothing going to be like that sense of just human sitting next to you when you're having a rough day, being able to listen to you, all technology set aside, looking you in the eye. Eye contact is so incredibly important today, making somebody feel that you care. So I would just leave that as advice. Obviously, it was a multitude of different things, but really coming back to empathy and pulling people back together and that connection, human connection with one another.
Yes, I love that. I absolutely love that. I'm sure that the audience must have benefited also. I think there's one comment here from the Gita that, Courtney, do you intentionally invest effort in reflection when you're evaluating decisions or your progress? What serves as your bouncing boards? What are your reference points? Do you have mentors? Do you use feedback loops? What guidance do you use to assess whether your choices are effective?
Excellent. If you don't mind keeping that question up so I can go back to some of those.
Yeah.
So mentorship, absolutely. Finding a mentor, that's so incredibly important. Somebody who has been there, done it. And once again, when I spoke about trust, but somebody you trust, somebody who's going to be giving you constructive feedback that you could trust to be able to become a better person, that no, they're not taking jabs at you. No, don't be too sensitive when they say something, but that they want to help you. Find those mentors. They are out there, I promise. And as far as the reflection point, without a doubt, is I would go through my life as I'm, growing up here, but even from my childhood, being very mindful of how you come across, whether it's with people, with your progress in life. For me, I love setting goals. I love reflecting back. Okay, those, times when things aren't so great and not so positive, I could look back and say, good job, Court. We're still on the right path. Today wasn't a not so great day, but nevertheless, if you do not reflect back, you will not see how far you've come to appreciate the journey. It's not all about the destination. It's the journey along the way. How are you improving as a person? How is that character development really shining through when those tough times occur? It's easy when things are going great. We could high five all day, right? But it's those times when we're in the trenches, when things are not going our way, how do you react? So without a doubt, reflection, 100%. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, I think that was it was a very full power pack question. And I would just add that, mentors are very important. To be honest, Aditi, I have mentors as well. And it's I always like to have mentors because they are the ones who guide you, and you need some guidance. They always say that, especially in sports, there is a must to have coach, right? They who can guide you. How can you live a life, without any guidance or without any? It's not. We are not born with a manual, right? But we need help. We need help from the people who have done that. It's so important to actually choose the right mentor also, because if you go get the advice from the wrong people, they will actually kind of ruin your life if you want to. That's why, I always refer to this quote by Rumi, don't take advice. I don't remember the right words, but I just don't take advice from the people who have not done anything, who don't take the advice from the people for the journey who have not even come out from the home. They will always scare you. But yes, if you have ambition, go to the people who have already been through, who have walked the journey, who have walked the process, and then they can give you the right advice. So have mentor and find the right mentor. They will change. So, anyways, I think we had a wonderful conversation, and I'm sure that audience have benefited a lot. Thanks, Geeta, for your comments, and thanks, Matthew, for joining and sharing the comments. It was a really nice conversation. I love that. Thank you, Courtney, for sharing your wisdom, sharing insight, and I hope to see you at the Energized Thinking. That's our another venture that Courtney, I, and Valerie have created. It's a place, it's a podcast where we actually interview guests and we ask questions which actually ignites curiosity. That's something that's really, really different podcast, because it's not just a conversation. It's something that it will make you think that are you on the right path? Or even if you're on the right path, what are the other paths you can explore? So many things we'll just have. Our guests are different, our conversations are different. So if you have not watched our Energized Thinking, I would highly recommend that you go to our website, energizedthinking.com, and you'll find our podcast. So anyways, thank you so much for joining, Courtney, and thank you so much for like Geeta and Matthew for sharing your comments. See you next week.
Ambreen, thank you so much for having me on. It was an absolute honor. Thank you.
Thank you.